Hey, I'm Omer Yalavac. I'm a second semester software engineering student at RMIT University. Welcome to my first video. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please hit that like button so the algorithm picks up my video and shows my video to everyone else. Also, consider subscribing if you want. That would make me really happy. In this video, I'm hoping to provide you guys insight into how my first semester of software engineering went and what that could look for you if you ever decide to study software engineering. Now, let it be known, I actually did not want to study software engineering. I was actually really scared. I I thought I would hate software engineering, like literally only until a month before I started studying, which is when I actually applied for the course. This is because I grew up with iPads and iPod touches. I never had a laptop until about 2 years ago, in which I hardly even used that because I was studying for my final year of secondary school. Because of that, you guys can see how it was for someone that had hardly any prior knowledge of computers study software engineering. Now, disclaimer, in the fourth week of uni, restrictions took place and everything went online. So if you're from the future and there's no restrictions, lucky you, everything I say will still be relevant to you, so do not worry. What is the difference between computer science, software engineering, and IT? I'll tell you. They're all pretty much the same thing, right? There's three. They're all similar, IT being the most broad, general version of them. It's also one of the easiest to get into. Not that easy, but it's the easiest one out of all of them. It's more of a broad topic, which it's not really for someone who wants to go into become a developer for Google, YouTube, those sort of companies. Now, the part everyone is curious about. What is the difference between computer science and software engineering? Well, there's actually hardly any difference. The only big difference they have are computer science is actually 3 years. And software engineering is actually 4. Why is this the case? Because software engineering actually has internship in its 3rd year, in which you have work experience in the software engineering field. You also get paid during this time. Now, why wouldn't someone that decides to do computer science do software engineering? Subjects. There are 4. That's a 3, bro. There are 4: programming techniques, intro to computer systems, discrete structures in computing, and finally user-centered design. Programming techniques. It's the subject that comes to your mind when you say software engineering. It's the basics into programming, mainly through Java. The subject actually goes into more detailed, more deeper concepts such as object-oriented programming towards the end of the course as well. Now, the assignments in this subject, they're actually really fun. They give you skeleton code, basically unfinished code with the method names. They just tell you to write code so it does stuff. So they basically gave us classes, methods in which we had to add extra stuff to it. One of these cool assignments, we created a game character, and then we learned how to extend game character and make a wizard or a fighter or a cleric. One of them, for example, was actually called Netrix. Basically, it's a knockoff of Netflix. And what we had to do is they'd give us a catalog, and they'd tell us, okay, categorize these into series, into a movie, into this type of genre. It was really fun. Next subject, intro into computing systems. This is the most boring subject you'll ever study. It's basically how computers work, their hardware, and how they communicate between each other using protocols. That's what it is. On top of that, we also had to learn how to program Python, but more specified towards a microbit. Now, if you don't know what a microbit is, it's basically a little computer chip that you can program using Python, and it lights up LEDs in whichever way you want it. It can measure the temperature. It knows when you're shaking it. You could do really cool stuff with it. You could play some sounds, and you could send messages to other microbits. The reason we learned this was because of our final project, which consisted of 4 parts, right? They were all basically different types of protocols, each task. We had to program 2 microbits to communicate using these protocols. Alright, so it's sending it, and it has failed because this one for some reason is not working. Maybe the battery is finished. And then the loss rate, it calculates the loss rate, and if the loss rate is too high, it gives up. It says terminate. Bro, why isn't this one working? Hey, it worked. What? Hey, yeah, boy. The issue the issue was each task, no, let me phrase it like this. The issue was the first task took me bloody 2 weeks. 2 weeks, yep, that's right, 2 weeks. I didn't do the rest. Why? No one did the rest. Why? Because it's so bloody hard. It takes so long. Why would they give us this assignment, this project? Why? I don't know, okay? I don't know. It was the dumbest thing ever. They made us do it. I hated it. Skip this subject. Discrete structures in computing. Math. It's just math. That's it. It's a more emphasis on proofs in math. Prove that square root 2 is rational or irrational. Do this. Use contradiction. This is like one of the first things we actually learned. It wasn't hard. It was just boring, bro. That's it. It was just boring. Oh, and then we learned gates, and then it got complicated. Like this. Like I don't know what this means. Ugly subject. Everyone hated it. Everyone struggled. It wasn't that hard because it was just tests. You know what? No, it was just tests. I hated it. Everyone hated it. Next subject. User-centered design. Best subject ever. The most enjoyable. You're gonna love this. What is it? In general, it's about learning how to create an app, a website, or a product focused on the user, what they want and what they need. There's this person called Nelson who created 10 heuristics, 10 principles basically, on how to focus on the user when you're creating your product, an app, or whatever. The assignments in this subject, that was the fun part. Basically, it's group assignments of 4 people, or 3 if you want. You design an app. You first start small by drawing. You create general ideas. You interview people, get their ideas, and then you create a prototype online. Now for the cool part. Bro, this was amazing. Look, I'm opening up Figma now. You can see how it looks like. But it's literally a prototype, which we designed ourselves, our group. You can make clickable buttons. If you miss, it shows you where you can click. You can do a quiz. Start game. Blah, blah, blah. Next. What can be fixed? It's legit a prototype. It's the funnest subject ever, man. Tips on software engineering. The first semester, what I learned. Know that you will be surrounded by computer nerds and geeks. They're just geniuses. Alright, do not be intimidated. That's my tip. Why? Because half of the other students, they have no bloody idea what they're doing, alright? So you're not alone. You'll get to their spot one day if you want. If you'd want to do extra study. If you don't want, you don't have to. You don't have to be a genius. Now, something everyone should know, but just in case you don't, always look for the smart people in your class. Do your assignments with them. Form your groups with those smart people. Why? Why not? Google. Google is your best friend, alright? I'm gonna repeat this all the Hey Google. Stop. Yeah, my Google just was listening to me. Anyway, Google's your best friend. Learn how to use it efficiently. Be fast with Google. Learn all the little shortcuts when you're Googling stuff. And that leads me to my next tip, which is Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is going to be your best friend. All programmers know this. 90% of programming is Googling Stack Overflow, typing down your issue with your programming, getting your answer. The rest of the 10% is coding. My tip, get familiar with Stack Overflow as soon as you can. Next, understand GitHub. What is GitHub? GitHub is basically a place, a cloud. It's somewhere you put all of your code into your own repositories where you could share to the rest of the world. But that way, if you learn it, you have all this free code. It's open source. Anyone can use it. Also, your teachers will probably also be using GitHub. They'll also have their own repositories for example code just for the students. If you're familiar with GitHub from before, you wouldn't waste any time, get straight into studying, get your work done, easy, done. Finally, the most important part, the part that I missed, I should have done this, I should have been told to do this, so I'm warning you guys from beforehand, learn the command line. Now, this isn't urgent, right? This isn't something you have to know. It's something you really should know. All programmers, all good programmers use command line. What it is, it's basically the background of your computer. You know, your graphical interface, the place where you click apps and all those stuff. It's that, but it's a blank screen where you type commands. Finally, the most important part of this video. Is software engineering right for you? The first question everyone has is, do you need to be good in maths? Sort of. Basically, the math we use in this course is similar to the math you use in your final year of school. It's not too hard, right? You could learn it, you could get used to it. You're not gonna struggle too much if you didn't struggle too much in school. And if you did struggle in school, you're probably used to it by now. It's alright. However, you do need to be good in problem solving. Now, here comes in my personal experience. I hated math. Why? Because I hated problem solving. Every time I got stuck in a problem, in a question, I couldn't solve it, I'd get frustrated instantly. I'd freak out. I'd think I wasn't good enough. Now, this is something you should really avoid, but that's how it was for me. I was actually scared of doing this course because of problem solving. I was really scared because I thought I would have to give up. I would give up this course immediately. But you know what? That didn't happen. Why? Well, during the first semester, I was coding. I was actually struggling quite a bit, and I was about to give up, honestly. I was thinking, okay, what other courses can I pick up? What course should I transfer to? But I pulled through. I got the job done. And you know what? Right now, I actually could say proudly that problem solving is not an issue anymore. And honestly, I think the same thing could happen to you if you have a problem with problem solving as well. You could improve, you could get better, you could adapt. So don't make that an issue for you. Now, the obvious stuff, which might not be obvious for those that don't know software engineering and all that, you gotta be willing to spend time, because this computers and all that, they will take time to learn. Every day it is improving. There are new things, new technology. You have to be willing to put in the time. This isn't just a learn it once and then you're all good sort of course. No, you have to constantly learn. Be willing to constantly learn. Be willing to spend the time all the time, right? If that's not you, maybe you should consider a different subject. But you know what? Once you start enjoying it, it should be fine. You'll be willing to spend it. Finally, be resilient. This is basically linked to what I was saying before about problem solving. If I did not be resilient, if I didn't pull through, I wouldn't have been able to continue this course. I wouldn't have finished. I would have given up. And that's not what we want. Right now, I'm actually really happy. I'm in a good place right now. Which means if you can be resilient, you can do anything. You can enjoy anything. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit that like button if I haven't told you before. Please consider subscribing. Please. If you're from the future and if I became successful, thank you for watching this first video, bro. You're the real one. Watch my other videos, please, right now. Go. No, that was a threat. You better watch my other videos right now.